Welcome, welcome. My name is Sierra and I'm the Vintage Valorian. So as the title of this video probably implies, if I'm titling it correctly, we will be cleaning a 1960s wool jacket today. Well, today for you, but this is gonna take several days on my end. I was at the thrift store the other day when it was slow, and I found this 1960s, roughly, I think it's 1960s. It's a little bit hard to tell, but I think this brand only really existed from the 60s to the mid to late 70s. So if anybody knows exactly what year this jacket is, please let me know in the comments because I would love to know. I'm estimating by the style that it's a 1960s jacket. Beautiful jacket. For one, it was wool, and for two, it had these leather wrapped buttons. I probably would have gotten it even if it hadn't been old. And just judging by the tags, I could tell that it was a vintage garment. I couldn't see it that well in the thrift store, but I figured since it was cheap, I'd pick it up and do what I could with it. When I took it home, I realized how dingy it was. It wasn't really in a state to be worn. I tried to take some photos of it to show how dingy it was to like send to my family and stuff, but it wasn't really getting picked up on photos. I mean, obviously with vintage garments, you don't expect it to be bright white, but neither do you want to wear, you know, a garment that looks like it's been peed on. Not to mention that the smell, the musty smell, was pretty strong as well. So when I took this home, I knew it needed to be cleaned, and I've never had a vintage garment before that really needed any TLC. I was Googling around trying to figure out what I should do because my first inclination was to get it dry cleaned. But from what I was reading, that's harsher than just trying to clean something yourself. Obviously, in the case of a vintage garment, it's preferable to not wash it at all if that's an option. But in this case, I don't really think it could be avoided. I actually already did my first round of trying to clean this thing before I realized, hey, I'm a YouTuber and I should probably film this. So you're gonna follow me along on my second round of cleaning this thing because it needs 2 washes essentially, and I'll show you how I'm washing it. Disclaimer, do not take this as a tutorial. This is my experimentation and kind of going off of what I read online, but don't like follow this along thinking I'm an expert and then ruin some vintage article of clothing you own and then blame me because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just winging it here. I'm just winging it here and I wanted to show you. So now that that's established that this is not a tutorial, I will go ahead and, well, today I'm not gonna do the second soak. I'll film that on another day. But today I'm gonna clean the leather buttons with some leather cleaner that I have. So come along with me, we're going to clean the leather buttons. I removed them from the coat because obviously I wasn't going to wash leather buttons. Off we go. Come with me and you'll see. I don't remember the rest of the lyrics. Here we go, here are buttons, 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 buttons. All right, here are the buttons that I've already detached from the coat. As you can see, they're leather wrapped, and then there's a little puddle of fabric on the back that you use to sew through. So I'll have to sew these back on once the coat is completely finished being cleaned. These buttons are already in really great condition, but I just want to run some leather cleaner and moisturizer over them. I have this brand. I saw this recommended by some like purse lady online for like just general cleaning and moisturizing. I'm going to clean it with this scrap of linen fabric. Just gonna put a little bit of leather cleaner on it and then sort of wipe it dry also. And there they are, all clean and shiny. All right guys, as you can see, I have the jacket here in front of me. It's the next day and the jacket is mostly dry. So it has been sitting for about 2 days since the first soak that I did. And now I'm gonna go to soak number 2 and hopefully try to get some of the last residual grime off of it, at least the best that I can get it. Holy moly. All right, preemptively apologize about the audio. I'm sure the bathroom is sending all kinds of echoes, but this is going to be our workspace. What we're going to do is use this pillowcase and we're going to lay it flat on the bottom of the bathtub. That's so that when I lift the jacket out of the water, I'm not pulling on the jacket itself and warping the wool. It'd be good if I had some sort of flat surface with holes in it where I could lift the jacket out of the water without moving it at all. I don't have anything like that, so I'm just doing the next best thing. But we're going to put the pillowcase in first, so it's already flat on the bottom of the tub before we lay the jacket in, and then fill it with water, obviously. We fill it with water first, then we put the jacket in. I'm just gonna show you. I'm just gonna use not Meyer's cleaning dish soap. This is Dawn dish soap. It's just in a different bottle. I'm using Dawn because it's a very gentle detergent. I don't know if that's the best choice, but it's what I have, and I read that some conservationists use it on Google, and you know, Google doesn't lie. My apartment's water doesn't actually get very cold, so I am gonna put some ice cubes in the water, not to make it freezing cold, but because it's wool, I don't want it to shrink at all, so I'm going to have it be cool, though not cold per se. Now, the most important thing when you're soaking vintage garments, from my understanding, is that you do not want to agitate it whatsoever. So we just want to leave that there. While that's soaking, I'm gonna set a 20-minute timer and also eat my dinner. Alright, it is done soaking, so now we're going to drain the tub and then rinse it off using the shower head. Alright, I've moved the jacket out here, and now what we're going to do is roll it up tightly like a sleeping bag to get out as much water out of the jacket as is possible. Now what we're going to do is arrange the jacket on this towel so it's laying completely flat and straight. There we go. Now we're back to where we started. It's going to take a couple more days to dry, and then I will sew the buttons back on and we'll be ready for a final reveal. Good morning. Well, it's morning for me. I'm not sure if it's morning for you. You know what? You have a good morning anyway. The jacket is completely dry. It's actually dry a couple of days ago, but I was too lazy to film, so, you know, at least it's on brand. It's Saturday morning. I woke up maybe an hour ago. It's like 8 or something. I figured I'd film this early, get it out of the way. I have some sort of aversion to sewing buttons on, so I've been kind of putting this off all week, but that's what we're doing today. We are sewing the buttons onto this jacket. All right, the buttons are sewn on. Now all that's left to do is try her on. She's a 60s jacket, but I don't own a lot of particularly 60s clothing, so I'm just gonna style it how I'll likely be wearing it. All right, let's go. That about wraps things up, I suppose. I'm really pleased with how this came out overall. It feels like a wearable jacket now and not just filthy. I know that maybe the camera didn't pick up the initial filthiness of the jacket. It really was just too grimy to wear. If it had just been the smell, I would have hung it outside to catch some air and disperse that a bit. But it genuinely felt grimy when you put your hands on it. So now it feels like an actual article of clothing. I'm still probably not going to wear this often per se. I didn't pay that much for it, but because it is a vintage garment, I'm going to do my best to treat it with care, and wearing it is probably the harshest thing I can do with it. I'll save it for special days in fall where I feel like this jacket will particularly suit the mood. Otherwise, she will be safely kept away to be admired. As I stated at the beginning, this isn't a tutorial, so I wouldn't recommend following this exactly. If you learned anything from my mistakes, leave a comment about, I don't know, leave a comment about how you clean your vintage garments. Teach me, because I don't know what I'm doing. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, because that's what YouTube's all about. Once again, my name is Sierra, and I'm the Vintage Valorian, and I hope you can proceed with vintage valor. I look sweaty. I'm going to show you. Cat. You know what? I should be facing the camera for this. Am I explaining anything properly? Oh, you probably couldn't see that. You have to go to the bathroom right when I hit the play button.